This is a common question that I see posted in property forums, and a common complaint I see in property forums, that investors are struggling to find reliable builders. So these places are great for me for things to talk about, to create posts from, to create training from, and to add to the content and the value that we already deliver. So often I'll get involved with a bit of back and forth to try and get to the bottom of what is truly meant by that question, where to find reliable builders. And here's the thing with it, I think that these people are searching for the wrong thing. And when they use that word reliable, they don't really know what it means. That might sound a bit deep and a bit woo-woo, but once the back and forth starts with, what do you mean by reliable? A common thing is, well, they don't show up every day. Right, okay. But what you must understand is that might not be necessary. So the plaster might be drying, or there might be no materials on site, or the merchants might have run out of gear. They might have COVID, their labourer could have let them down. There is so many things that may well result in the guy not being there every day, nor is it required to be there every day. Plaster drying is usually the most common. It might be a supplier let them down. It could be that they couldn't get in. It could be that there was no electric on the meter. It could be so many things. Yet it's so easy for us to point the finger of blame and start saying that the tradesmen are unreliable. And yes, I get that there are unreliable people out there, but we've got to know what reliable is first, before we can know what unreliable is. So when we say unreliable, it could well mean that what we're actually saying is that they're bad at communicating, which I will agree with most people, that tradesmen are synonymously not very good at this. So if it is a communication piece that you need to get a grip of, then that's the thing that we're looking for, not reliability. So we're looking for, mate, can I ask you a favour? Don't expect you to be here every day, but I do expect you to be finished by X. And if you've got any issues whilst that project is going, can you let me know? If you're not going to be on site, can you let me know? Or whatever your expectation is that is not going to be met, can you let me know? It might be that they have a team meeting on a Friday morning and they're late, but they haven't told you this, and you turn up Friday morning to do a visit and there's no one there, and you think, oh, you're unreliable. What truly is they've been poor at communicating, which is, as I say, relatively common. So I think it is a communication piece that needs to be improved and not a reliability piece. I want to share with you a meeting that I had yesterday with a domestic customer. Not very often that we work with domestic customers these days, but this particular job was really interesting, full house refurbishment, so really extensive work, and also a significant amount of revenue. So we start working with this client, and yesterday we had a meeting. The project starts in February next year, is when that starts. Now we've had a set of plans, drawings, specification, we've done everything and built everything alongside this client. Now what I wanted to talk about to you this morning was, when there's a change, when there's what's perceived to be an extra, a variation or extra charge, or changing costs, changing materials, whatever that is, the price of that change is going to depend on what time it is, not what time of day, but what time we are in terms of the project delivery. So yesterday we had a bit of a meeting where we went through some spec items, some spec changes, and one of the items that came up was the kitchen layout, the kitchen design. She said, I don't really want this wall taken out anymore. I want to leave that wall in and not build that other wall. Now, without going into any detail, there was a wall to be taken out for a kitchen to be fitted around where the wall used to be, and that was built into our price. Now the question that she asked in the meeting was, how much extra is it going to be to change this design? And I looked at it and I thought, why would she think that that's extra when that's less work? Now I didn't question this at the time, but just the way that the question came across, how much extra would it be to change this design? Now, someone with a bit less integrity would have put the price up 100%. However, when we told her actually that this will be a saving for you, because it now means we haven't got to provide supply and fit of steel and RSG to support the wall above. It means that it's a skip less. It means some less labour, some less time, some less management, some less calculations, some less design. All of that now goes away for that specific piece of work. However, had we been on site and all that gear would have been already done and ordered, and that question would have come across sort of 2 or 3 days before we're about to carry out that piece of work, now it's going to be a cost. Now it'll still have to be paid for, because all of that stuff's now booked, paid for, and been booked in. So the timing of that question was really important here. The timing of that question coming across nice and early, and before that project starts. We're like February next year. What are we now? September? No, it's August. So we're 6 months in advance. She's asked about this change. So she'll now make a saving on a project. However, if that had been like 6 days before the project had started, that saving is now going to be still paid for. So she won't make any savings. In fact, it probably costs money, because then we've got to get rid of the stuff that we've ordered, the steel, all the rest of it. I stole this post. Stole the content of this video from another post that I've seen in a property community. Somebody posted, what's your biggest challenge with refurbs just now? Morning, Andy. And the title of this video kept coming up as a common thing. I was quite shocked. How do I stop getting ripped off by my builder? How do I know whether my builder is ripping me off? Now, if you want to make more profit from your refurbishment projects, you've got to know this. Otherwise, you'll be paying over the odds. And if you're paying over the odds, you're making less profit from your refurb projects. And if you want more, this is something that you must get a grip of. Here's the truth and the short answer to that question. How do I know whether my builder is ripping me off on my refurbishment project? The truth is, you don't. Unless you have arrived at an educated number to begin with. That's the truth. Because your version, your story, your rhetoric about being ripped off can only be a comparison, should I say, a comparison to your expectation. And we're going to use that word ripped off when those two things don't align. Your expectation and what the builder wants. When those things are far apart, we're going to use that language. The builder ripped me off. But here's the thing, where'd you get the initial number from in the first place? Where did you get that number to measure your expectation against in the first place? This is what so many people miss. So many people in the property space miss this. They invent a number, and then when that expectation is not met, everybody else is to blame. The old 20 grand refurb gets priced up at 30 grand. Builder's ripping me off. Well, where did your 20 grand come from initially? How did you arrive at that figure? 9 times out of 10, it's a fucking guess. Be honest with yourself. If that's you, stop it. There is only one way to price up refurbishment work, and that is to price up refurbishment work. Assuming you want to make more profit from your refurbishment projects, that is. If you don't, that's cool too. Carry on as a hobby, carry on winging it, carry on guessing, carry on with square metre rates or whatever your property coach has taught you. Because that approach does not work. I know quantity surveyors and estimators, the top of their game, that studied this for 3, 4, 5 years in some cases. 5 years. And yet people think they can go on a spreadsheet, fucking deal analyzer, tap in a number and it spits them out a build cost in 5 seconds. No, that does not work. The bigger the project, the more riskier that is as well, by the way. I see stuff about commercial conversions. Let's just measure it and times it by a number. What a load of bollocks. That does not work. If that worked, you wouldn't even need to go and view it. you wouldn't need to do a viewing, because all the build costs would be the same. Also bollocks. So in short, this morning, to stop the builder, to answer the question of how do I know whether my builder's ripping me off or not, you don't. Unless you have an educated figure to begin with. And to get that educated figure, you're going to need educating, or outsource it. Outsource it to a professional. Outsource it to a quantity surveyor, an estimator, somebody that knows what they're doing. Or get educated. You can work with me for just a couple of £100 to get started on this. So if you are subscribed to our daily emails, or you follow this page, or you follow us on YouTube, Instagram, whatever that is, you will know that in my training business we have an approach to selling training, and that is to attend a masterclass, which the next one's on the 8th of September, by the way. And then in that masterclass there's an opportunity for just a couple of £100 to work with us further. That's my sales process. I'm okay with that. It's transparent, and from the off, the offering is from the off. Now, I get an email last night from the invite to the masterclass. So the invites went out to the masterclass, to the webinar, to see if you want to register. And the response I got was, I've already attended it, and your sales tactics are disgusting. And I thought, what a strange answer. It kept me up a little bit, kept me awake, thinking about it. Now, as soon as they changed the word process to tactic, it became dirty. It's the same thing. So if this guy wants to call it a tactic, it just immediately becomes dirty. It's just a process. Process, attend masterclass, hear what I've got to say. You may well improve your processes and make more profit on your refurb projects, and if that's the case, fucking amazing. If not, then there's no one's got a gun to your head. No one's got the foot in your throat, or any other sort of tactic as this person used. It astounded me. I have had another guy said, what you teach, I like what you teach, but I'm doing okay. Also fantastic. Let me ask you a question. What if you can make okay great? I'm not saying what I do is the only way. I'm not saying what I teach is the only way, because it's not. But I know that it makes more profit. I know because I've done it in my own business, and I've trained thousands of people in doing the same thing. So I guess what I'm saying is be a bit more open-minded and not close-minded like that. Tradesmen are terrible for this. I'm terrible for this. There's no other way. There's my way or there's no way. There's my way or the wrong way. My mum says that about me. It's my way or the wrong way. So if you believe that there is no other way to make more profit from your refurb projects, then that's cool. But I'm telling you that there is. Driving efficiencies, driving compliance, driving time, driving program, driving products, driving suppliers, driving trades, driving a program, driving the project on the whole is going to make you more profit. But if you don't know how to do that, then we need to talk. Being transparent again. Our lowest level of training is a couple of £100. You can spend a full day with us for a couple of £100. Our next one is tomorrow. Then we got one the Friday after that. It really is a choice. You can keep muddling through, for which I applaud you. That's what I did. It's fucking hard work and it's expensive. Or you can come and get a process to follow. You can call it tactic if you want. How much do I charge for that? I wanted to share with you a call I took yesterday. With a chap that's just started doing his own extensions. I say he's just been doing it about a year, he said. Been building extensions and couldn't work out how much to charge. how much to charge for the extension. So I got backwards and forwards with a few questions, and we quickly got to the crux of the problem was that he'd been using his mate's square meter rate to price up his extensions. So his mate, I think he said his mate, maybe his cousin or something, I forget. Anyway, the rate wasn't his, it was someone else's. So he borrowed this rate, and his question was, how do I know whether I'm making any profit? And the simple answer is you don't. You ain't going to know what he's making as a profit because you don't know what his costs are and you don't know what to charge. So that's really, really important. And people get hung up on this. And I think this is a huge mistake. This is my personal opinion before you all jump down my throat. My personal opinion is what it costs is fucking irrelevant. Your service solves a problem. And that is what you charge for. You charge for the solution to the problem that you bring. You don't charge for what it costs you, or you're not going to be in business very long. If you are charging your service at cost and not making a profit, then therefore you are not making any money. You're taking a wage. And this guy he got his head around it in the end, but I feel he needs some further support. That's what we do here. That's what we're doing today. Boots on the ground today, our one-day training. But what my point is, it doesn't really matter what your service costs. It's what problem you solve, what solution you bring to a person's world. And that is what you should charge. Relative to that, do you think iPhone or Apple, nearly said Samsung then. Do you think Apple phones cost £1,000 to make? No. It's nothing to do with what it costs. It's to do with the solution. It's to do with the problem that it solves. Spin you around for this. That camcorder as well, for example. That camcorder was 800 quid. Probably cost 20 quid to make, but it solves a problem that I need to have. The problem I need solving is I need people to be able to dial into this training room today, remotely, online. That's the problem that it solves. And that's why I've paid the fee that I've paid for it, because that's what it does. It's nothing to do with what it cost me. And I hope that builders and trades out there listening to this can relate to this. Maybe you're sat there thinking, well, I work out labour and materials and that's my price. Fuck that. If you're doing that, you're not making any profit. You're not. You're working for a wage. Systems in business. I see this get brought up a lot in various different groups with builders, with trades, with property investors, with all of these folk. I've just been for my morning coffee this morning, and this was what inspired this share this morning. So when we talk about systems, we're saying that we want a repeatable, standardized way of doing things. There's some big corporate giants out there that are the masters of this. McDonald's probably the best systemized business I've ever experienced in my life. You can go to any Mackey's in the world and you'll get the same shit food no matter where you are. But what I wanted to share this morning is I've been at Starbucks this morning. I have a routine every single morning. I go to the gym, and on the way back from the gym, I pick up a brew, pick up a coffee, and I pick up my wife a coffee as well, and then I bring it home for her to have in bed. Now, every morning I go into the drive-through bit at Starbucks. And this morning I knew I was about to have a different experience from the second I pulled up. So the second I pulled up, the little speak to thing, the little box, I said what I wanted. And she said, "You're going to have to slow down." And I went, "Sorry?" She said, "You're going to have to slow down. I can't hear what you're saying." And I knew from that point this was either a new starter or I was about to have a different experience. And I knew it was going to happen. So I said it to her again, and she said, "And what size was that?" And I said, "Tall." And she said, "Tall for both of them?" I said, "Yeah." And I have a black coffee, and she said, "Do you want room for milk?" And I went, "No, it's black. I don't want milk in it." Okay. And then when I drove to the next window, the cup you can see is all spilled around the edge, and it's not normally like that. And I thought this is going to be different. I have an extra shot in my coffee as well, and that's missing. I can tell that it's missing. What was I even on about? Oh yes, systems when you're starting up. So when people are starting up these new businesses, new sole traders, new tradesmen jumping into looking to grow their business, or even start up that business. These systems that, Starbucks, Tesco, McDonald's, all these people have, you don't need them just yet. What you need is a paying client. So when you're just starting up your trade business, look through your phone. Who is already in your phone that needs to be working with you? Who's already in your phone that would benefit from your service? This goes for coaches, consultants, tradesmen, property investors, deal packagers, whoever that is. Who do you already know? Who do you already know? Before you start designing logos and t-shirts and putting systems in place in your business, buying sign-written vans and investing a bunch of shit into marketing and getting leaflets and brochures done, you don't need this stuff yet. You just don't need it yet. Good morning, darling. See? Look, she knows the system, look. It's here. And you don't need it yet. What you need to do is get a paying client. And to get a paying client, look to the contacts that you already have, your existing network, your existing people in your phone that you have already. Move towards them people and see how or who and how they can benefit from what it is that you do. Before you go into investing a load of money into systems, marketing, logos, vans, and all of that. This following some posts I see on socials, people saying, Think and Grow Rich, and I'm going to make my first million in 12 months, all these kinds of posts. And I get there's a place for affirmations, and I get there's a place for shifting that mindset and adjusting the way that you think in order to bring wealth into your life. But the thing with it is, you cannot think your way to being a millionaire, despite what the personal development world will lead you to believe. These books that get pushed about and banded about to the key to success, Think and Grow Rich, the Napoleon Hill book, whilst it's a great book and whilst it will help you and adjust the way that you think and help you with your mindset and your approach to money, but reading the book alone isn't going to do you any good. Yes, but this is what people think. People think that you can read this book and that will be it. You will attract money into your life, but it just doesn't work that way. There's only one way to attract money in your life, and that's work. You've got to work for it. Effort, guile, grit, determination, consistency, persistency, on all of those things. And yes, there is a place for the book. There is a place for affirmations, but those things alone, they aren't going to do you any good. That's not my job. I was in the gym this morning and I noticed in one of the rooms, so Martin, if you're watching, you'll know exactly what I'm going to say. There's a plug socket upstairs, one of these wall-mounted plug sockets, and the room got spray painted whilst there was something plugged in. Looks like a Hoover or something. So there was a plug in the socket, and then the room's been sprayed, and then the plug socket's been taken out, and you can see on the plug socket where the plug was while it was being painted. It did have to make me smile, and also reminded me of something that came up on a webinar that I was on a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about programming and programs of works and scheduling, and how important that they are. And one of the comments that came back was, that's a builder's job. This was a property investor, by the way. Property investor said, that's the builder's job to write a program of works. Now, when I think back to my professional days, not that I'm not professional now, my corporate days, should I say, when I think back to those, it always was the builder's job to write a program. When I worked for a construction business, it was. But for me, this is my take on it. If I'm the property investor and I own that house, I'm in charge of the lending, I'm in charge of the borrowing. Time is my cost as the client, not the builder's. So the longer that project endures for, the more money it's going to cost me, and therefore the less profit I will make. So this program for me is 100% the client's. I'm not going to say it's his job, but his or her job. It's certainly your responsibility and something that you should think about having in place. In fact, no, scratch that. It's something that you have to have in place. You have to have this in place on your projects if you want to make more profit from them. Now, the follow-up challenge to that is usually, I can't get builders and trades to stick to my program. Okay, so there's a couple of things there. A, did you involve them in the process? I'd be writing it and be responsible for it and be in charge of it as the client. But I got to get buy-in from my supply chain. I got to get buy-in from the trades and the subbies. Is this achievable? Or am I just flogging a dead horse? Is it achievable? Have I selected the right builder? And did I communicate it? Those are the three things around a failed program for me. If somebody tells me that a builder or trade's gone over time, they'd be the three questions I would ask. The last one's the most common one. Did you communicate it? Because 9 times out of 10, it isn't done. And then we chin and moan at the builder for running over time. And that time never was communicated, so therefore never existed. So a builder can't stick to a program, or a tradesman can't stick to a program if he doesn't know what it is in the first place. That's a massive thing. So when we're saying that this is it's not my job, it's the builder's job, all of the profit from that project goes to you, the client. And the quicker that you do that project, the more profit you will make. So time efficiencies on your projects, on your refurbishment projects, are critical if you want to see the maximum amount of profit from them. Now, this is a skill that you have to develop. You have to develop this skill of programming and scheduling, knowing how long stuff takes, knowing what order to do it in. If you want to make more profit from your projects, that is. Of course, there are those that are winging it, guessing, don't care about this. This is just a hobby. You're a homeowner, just follow me because whatever. But if you follow me for the right reasons, because you want to increase your profits from your refurbishment projects, then this is something that you must get in place. I've got some pain to get through this morning, and I'm curious as to what you would do in this position. I know what I'm going to do, I think, but I'd love to hear from you what you do in this situation that I find myself in. That I find myself in this morning. It's double pain. I'm teaching tomorrow. We've got boots on the ground tomorrow, where I walk about a lot when I teach, for those that have been and seen already. And I've trained my legs in the gym this morning, so I'm in a bit of pain there as well. That's not what I wanted to share. So what I want to share with you today is all around payment terms and when you should be paying for the works that have took place on your project. So if you want to make more profit from your refurbishment projects, you must get your payment terms in place. And what I mean by payment terms, so I've been asked this before, what does that mean? That means when you're going to pay, how are you going to pay, all of the things around payment. What I used to do when I first set up my construction company was invoice landed and I paid it. I learnt the fucking hard way that is a shit way to manage your payments in your business. Because what happens if you do that is you may then well go find a snag, find a defect, find something's wrong, you've paid too much, something's not complete, etc, etc. Lots and lots of things can happen between you paying that invoice and you actually going to look at it. So what we had to do was introduce a procedure which has built and developed over time within our business, whereby lots of things have to happen before that payment is made. I won't go into that, but this is the challenge that I have today. So our payment terms are that subcontractors are paid on a Friday. There's a lots of triggers and steps that have to happen before that payment is made. But the challenge I have is a subcontractor has come to us on Tuesday this week and said he's got to pull off site because he's run out of money and he can't progress. He can't get through to Friday without a payment, without an interim payment. Lots and lots of things have happened that's made him that's put him in that position. He's had some staff members let him down, COVID and some material shortages. So we're in a bit of a challenging position where we've got two choices. We either A, help this guy out, or B, we stick to our terms, stick to our procedure and say, listen mate, you need to get to Friday. Now, the good person in me wants to help this guy out and see him through to Friday, give him a payment early. But the businessman in me says, mate, they're the terms, you get paid on Friday, end of chat. So I'd love to know what you would do in this situation. I know what I'm going to do. I already know. But I had a bit of conflict this morning whilst I was sat thinking about it. Because in the past I have done this wrong. I've done the opposite to know what I know I should do. And it's always bit me, every time. Every time it's bit me in the ass. So I'd love to hear your opinions on it. What would you do? What would you do in this position? Would you help the guy out? Pay him early? Contrary to your own procedures, knowing what you already know? Or would you do something different, a bit sideways? A bit neither of those things, maybe a bit of both. I've seen four posts across social media. There was one on LinkedIn, one on Instagram, and two on Facebook. All of different people, all asking for this same thing. Can anyone please tell me where to find the best and the cheapest tradesmen for my refurbishment projects? And honestly, I sit there with my head in my hands and it's like, are you fucking mental? That does not exist. The best and cheapest tradesman, that's like asking for I don't even know, a bright night, bright darkness. They are chalk and cheese. If you want the best, they will not be the cheapest. And if you want the cheapest, they will not be the best. That is a fact, out and out fact. You cannot have both. It does not exist. The best and cheap, I don't care what anyone says. There will be people that comment on here saying, oh, well, I'm really good and I'm really cheap. Fucking nice one. I don't believe you. You're full of shit. Does not exist. Best and cheapest do not go in the same sentence. They don't. A guy asked this question, and I had to jump on and share if you've not seen it yourselves already, because it did go a bit nuts. This guy asked a question in a group of property investors whether it was a good idea to ask three or four builders to come round and quote for some construction and refurbishment work all at the same time in order to create some competition. I thought it was a joke at first. Now, reading the comments, some people were like, yeah, that's a great idea. And I thought, no, that's not a good idea. But when you think that something is really obvious, this is my point of this morning, when you think that something is really obvious, you don't really share it or talk about it because you just assume that everybody knows what you're talking about. However, this guy, should I bring 4 builders around to a property at the same time in order to generate some competition for pricing, in order to get the best price or something like that, he wrote. And people were like, yeah, that's a great idea, I'm going to try that on mine. My advice to you is this: don't do that. Don't do that. That will not end well. You'll piss everybody off, you won't get any rates back, no one will price it, they'll all turn up and go, what are you doing here? That'll be really uncomfortable, really strange. You won't get best rates, you won't get any rates. In fact, if that happened to me, if I rocked up at a viewing with an investor and there was loads of other builders there, I'd just walk away. I won't get into them games. It is a what type of market is it at the minute? I always get this mixed up. Tradesmen are able to pick and choose their jobs just now. Does that make it a buyer's market or a seller's market? I don't know. It's too confusing. So they're able to pick and choose their projects just now. So these games, they aren't going to work. They might have worked in 2008, 2009, they may have worked then, but not at the moment, not a chance. Good morning, I want to share a bank holiday pricing exercise that I did yesterday, catching up on the week before where we've not been getting back to folk. We, for property investors, this is, so property investors, if you're engaging with tradesmen and builders and you're wanting to make more profit, do take this one tip. If you want to remove a lot of conflict from your world, a lot of conflict from your thought process. Mornings, Dennis. This one thing, it always grinds my gears, this actually, and I'll explain why. So, some property investors have asked us to go price up some building work. Morning, Matthew. And we get to the property and the guy said, so how much will it be for this elemental piece of work? It was one small part of a wider project. And we gave him a price. I'll tell you what it was just the kitchen fit. And we gave him a price for the kitchen fit. And we said 1,200 quid. So it was 1,200 quid to fit this kitchen. It was a fair old size. It was a fair chunk of work to do. And he then asked a really shit question. So he's been given a price to give him a result. And that result was a fitted kitchen. But the question he asked me next, this always does piss me off. It grinds my gears, this. He went, 1,200 quid? Well, what's your day rate? And I was kind of like, well, do you know what? That's fucking irrelevant, mate. What does that matter? I'm giving you a price, not a day rate. The two things are completely different. So if you get a price for something, you're buying a result. If you're saying to me, what's your day rate, and I'm going to be there until the job's finished, that's going to be a different price. Because when I give you a price, I'm building in all the risk. I'm building in a load of pain and potential things that could happen. If I give you a price, it's up to me then. So day rate and price work are completely different things. If you're wanting to understand how long something takes, just for either curiosity, knowledge, programming, scheduling, just ask that question. How long will it take? How long do you think it'll take you, mate? 4 days. Because what's trying to happen here, what I know what's coming with the 1,200 quid, right, it's 1,200 quid. And then what's your day rate? And then it's how long will it take you? Oh, it's gonna be 4 days. Oh, well, he's on 300 quid a day, I'm not paying that. And this is the thought process, and you're gonna always create some conflict in your own mind if that's how you're operating. If you're working out price work using a day rate, it doesn't work like that. It's one or t'other. You're either getting it priced up on a price for each elemental piece of work or the whole thing, or we're engaging on a day rate, which I'd never recommend you did, even though there'll be trades on here that challenge that and don't agree with me, and that's cool. I wouldn't go on a day rate. I would work on one, but I certainly wouldn't buy using that way. It's not the most cost-effective way of doing things.